I am Marwan Cameron, and this is the Conduit. It is Friday in Kitsap County. It is Friday, April 16th. It was a beautiful day. I think it got to 80 degrees here. My echo says it's about 75 degrees right now. I hope you had a beautiful day. Good to see people out in the community doing good work. Shout out to everyone that is working to take care of people that are less fortunate than themselves. Definitely good to see. As I keep saying, 2021 is definitely has some opportunities for us to collaborate in some ways that we have not collaborated in the past. But of course, with all that said, the fact that that need exists and we are in a crisis is unfortunate. Unfortunate is a light word. I'll let you know tonight. I'm not gonna be very articulate because I'm angry. I'm frustrated, as I usually am. Right, with these things that are going on with the news. You know, Dante Wright, Adam Toledo, and on it goes. It's so incredibly frustrating. And it's taken me a few days just to get to this point where I could even begin to talk about it in a space where it's just not a jumbled, angry mess. It's ramping up. It's ramping up. And so, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. You hear me talk a lot about the mainstream media, fake news or incomplete news, selective news, however you want to call it. The places where we seek information or information seeks us, because sometimes it appears that we don't have much of a choice in that. And what we digest and how we digest as it is force fed to us in so many different formats, right? So much so that even friends and family will begin to feed it to us. And if you try to have a counter opinion to that, then you are in a situation where you can end up canceled. So do you dare speak out, speak up, be a person with a full range of emotions? It's one thing that heterosexual Black males are not typically able to have, right? We are already inherently a danger because we exist. Just because we exist. And so if you express anything other than oftentimes that bojangly, smiling, disarming, charming self, then you are a danger. If you raise your voice, if you become angry, if you are emotional, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. Or I should say, even more dangerous than what you are already. What I'd like to do tonight is share some of the places where I get information from, which I think may be helpful for those that are interested in seeking out information from other sources, gaining some other perspectives, and not just kind of regurgitated information from all the sources that exist, right? So that is my hope, and I hope that as we have these conversations together, uh, you'll seek out some of this information on your own and start to have conversations and talk about it. And my hope is that we can uh, be actionable and create some tangible change and go beyond um, the tools and levers that are put into place that do not uh, invoke any tangible or true real measurable change, right? Significant is what I should say. And what I mean by that is if you take the civil rights movement in the 60s, right? We're looking at, well, about 60 years. Should we not be further than that? 60 years, right? Civil rights movement. And we find ourselves with many of the same issues as we did in the past. And some are even worse than they were then. It's also interesting too when you talk about slavery and the argument that many make where they say, oh, well, that was 400 years ago, that was generations ago, right? Although some of the last slaves died, I believe that was what, late 90s, I think that was. If in 60 years society has moved from the civil rights era to this point and we are still suffering as much as we are, then although 400 years is a tremendously long time in terms of length, it is not a long time in terms of the trauma and the human rights crimes that were visited upon Black people. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. And sometimes folks say, well, and I've said this too, like, I can't understand how people in the dominant society can hate someone that they believe is inferior to them, or people who they have ensured that they are above economically and in almost every other way. Why would they carry such hate? I couldn't I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, I've got a guest coming on tonight, so I'm excited about that. Let me go ahead and send the link. I think he's an excellent person to have this conversation with. So let me go ahead and respond to him. It is not a Zoom. Sending it now. All right, let me go ahead and send that to him real quick. Yeah, I think he's a perfect person to weigh in on this. But I don't understand the hate piece, right? Conversely, I'm actually confused at Black Americans and how we are so forgiving, right? All the things that have happened to us continue to happen to us. And the first thing that is put out there oftentimes is, oh, we want to have peace. Don't go out. We forgive. You've got the judge hugging Amber Geiger. So on the one hand, you have this oppressed group of people that have been murdered, raped, and a bunch of other things. I mean, enslaved. I mean, you take those three things, I mean, kind of like what's worse than that? I could go on and on and on. Incarcerated. and we forgive, and we forgive, and we forgive, and we forgive. But yet, when you have conversations with folks, what would happen to someone who, touched your little girl? Oh, I'd kill him. What would happen if someone did something to your wife or did something to your business or did something to your car? Oh, I would do this, that, and the other. It'd be no forgiveness. But we're supposed to forgive, and we do. It's been said that we are the most forgiving people on the planet. I would definitely agree with that. But again, it's just so bizarre that the dominant society can hold such hatred. How you doing there, brother Daryl?
What's good, man?
All right. I'm just talking a little bit here with the audience, and you know, kind of in my monologue this evening, I was speaking about my frustration, and it's taken me a few days to come and speak. And even tonight, I'm not going to be very elegant in my word choice, and I may be all over the place because I'm so angry. I'm so exhausted with stories of Adam Toledo and Dante Wright, and this ongoing happenings. I was talking about how black folks are the most forgiving people on the planet, and as we have these crimes, this government sanctioned murder, the rape, the murder, the enslavement, the imprisonment of ourselves for all of these years. And currently, we're the most forgiving people. But then you have those on the dominant society who are not. They've put themselves above everyone else economically and made sure that they have set the game so they can be and stay there. And then when you have conversations with folks, oh, if you touch my little girl, oh, I'll kill you. If you do this to my car, if you do this to my property, or I do this, that, and the other. But we are required to forgive, although we have all these atrocities visited upon us. What are your thoughts on that?
I you know I think we've always been kind of feared by white males for the most part. There's always been that kind of aggressiveness towards us. You got to remember, up until recently, it's been the white males running the show. The president of the banks, the president of the corporations, the president of the police unit, the training officer. Now it's women in these situations. But you said it earlier. It was structured that way. Uh, this country has been built under white rule, if you will, white male rule, and their hatred and discontent for us, and the reason that they're so threatened by us is based on fear. Um, I don't. I know it's tough being a law enforcement officer in the city, in those cities, because to be in all fairness, we got some youngsters out there that are killers. You know, outside of what we've been seeing, police do encounter young males, white and of color. And they're heavily armed. So I know they got a hard job. However, uh, I think this is a capitalistic society, and nothing's going to change that. So therefore, the only way to uh, stop some of these incidents from occurring, or at least have police to think several times over with, is if they're penalized for it monetarily.
Mm. 'Cause, mm. 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 Mm.
We have to go at their pockets. Just like I have to have bonds for my. I can't do certain work unless I have bonds for my business. You know, and that should be the normal course of action for everybody. They should be covered. Well, because the city is footing. Well, you and I are footing the bill for these settlements that they're paying out.
Right.
You know, so we got to take the onus off of us and put the pressure on them.
I want to add on to something that you said because you talked about, white men, right? And I just want to be clear because we always, when we have these kind of conversations, it goes to white men. But if you look here, I've got some pictures up, right? And these are white women of the Klan, right? And so this wasn't something that it was just white men. Okay. So who sewed the sheets? Who are the teachers of the children? All of 2020, what we watched was, you know, story after story about the Klan, about the Karens, right? So the Karens are calling the police on black folks for this, that, and the other. Bottled water, barbecue, and birds watching. All these different things. So I don't want to leave that out because we typically say white men, but we have to make sure that we bring in that this was both. This was white men and white women. When we talk about rape, right? During slave days, both the men and the women were being raped by men and women. Your nonprofit is the Up From Slavery Initiative. And I know that you're going to be doing quite a few things and bringing a lot of light that is sorely needed as history has been whitewashed and they've done everything to have us. Well, one, we don't even know our own history, uh, true Black history before slavery, but what actually happened and the truth.
Well, I agree with you. White women play a part in it, but you know, historically, the males have always been the one to make the rules. Even women have only been allowed to vote for 100 years, and I agree. They should share some blame, just like the lady who recanted on Emmett Till. Uh, she should suffer some repercussions for that. Um, but you don't you who running the country now? Who's in charge now? If you look at all financial sectors, if you look at the three greatest sectors in the world, you can take Washington D.C., New York City, Rome, and where the Vatican is. And go where the Queen is. Those are the sectors. The Queen is the only female in all those orders, and she doesn't run her own throne for the most part. So I based upon how the structure was built, um, I have to put most of the onus on the white male because they are the power structure. Um, Now, mind you, we do have Karens, but most Karens are just miserable women. Most Karens are going to be like that towards everybody. They're wrapped in white privilege is different from being racist.
Well, I hear you, but a Karen can get you killed, right?
Well,
An
she can
accusation,
weaponize that white privilege to get you killed.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
So we don't want to discount her or not consider her to be a threat as much as she is. But most of the time, she just wants attention. I think you and I, as black men, as kings, in those situations, we just have to maintain a king's posture. You know, and hope that. I was thinking about this driving today. How even though I have relationships with law enforcement in the community, I still fear getting stopped by one of them.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I
Mm.
don't feel comfortable talking to them on a traffic stop. I just don't. And I have you can't just talk me out of this innate feeling I feel that you know, America raised me. Hip hop raised me. The drug culture raised me. The prison, the pipeline raised me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty familiar with the ins and outs of that. You know, this is what America created, and now I'm able to get my reparations for it. That's what Up From Slavery is about.
Now we're gonna get into reparations here after a few of these videos. I do want to make it clear when I have these conversations, even when I speak in frustration and anger, I expect that those that listen to me or have a conversation with me, whether you disagree or not, you need to be intellectually honest. So when we talk about a group of people, we do not mean all and everyone. Slavery existed in this country. Slavery could not have ended if it wasn't for good white men and white women that helped to end slavery. So let's not be ignorant in our conversation because that serves no purpose, right?
Well, you know, Marwan, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that that's unavoidable.
Mm.
The ignorance that you spoke of is unavoidable. We have to. That's going to come with that because this is different for everyone, including Black people. You know, this is the first time we've been looked at and taken seriously. All of our scars have been uncovered. You know, all of the stuff we've been saying for years is starting to be video evidence of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is new, bruh. You look at the commercials on TV. There are more people of color on TV. It was like night and day. So, this is new for everyone. So, no one can say that they have a pattern on how it should go.
You got it. You got it. Let me play a few videos and then get your response. I'm not going to play them in their entirety. But yeah, let me play a few of these and then I'll get your response on the other side.
Video tonight, Adam Toledo, his hands right there. Authorities say a handgun was later found a few feet away. Today, an emotional Mayor Lori Lightfoot saying it was an unwinnable situation, a boy out in the middle of the night with an adult, but saying the city, quote, failed the boy. The mayor calling for calm tonight, and ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leading us off with the images. And again, we warn the video is difficult to watch.
Now, I'm not going to play that because I don't want to glorify the death. You know, one thing that I see a lot is where we can be displayed in these horrific ways, right? They will actually show our murder on live television, but they won't say the N-word or they'll blot it out as if that's more offensive than watching a black man be murdered. Like to me, that just, it doesn't even compute. Let me play another video here.
To the racial confrontation that is sparking outrage in South Carolina, where a white Army officer was caught on camera harassing a young black man, saying, quote, you're in the wrong neighborhood, shoving him at one point. TJ Holmes here with the details. Good morning, TJ.
Hey, good morning to you, George. You know how this must feel to viewers, to Americans. Another day, another viral video of a racially charged incident. And this time, you see a young black man being absolutely berated by a white man telling him, get out of this neighborhood or I will carry you out. Now, while we don't know everything that led up to the incident you're about to see on video, what we do see was enough for prosecutors to say.
All right, Daryl, why the hell does he have to say, we don't know what led up? Why does that have to be justified when you watch the video of the man pushing him and assaulting him?
Well,
right?
what, in all fairness to that brother, though, what he's saying, in my opinion, is that prior to the video, they don't know what happened. If I'm looking at it correct, I'm not making an excuse for him. I could be wrong.
No, that's what he's saying. But when it comes to something that's against us, we always have to see what happened before. We could look at a lot of the violence that has been visited on the AAPI community of late, right? And when they show the video, they never say, hey, what led up to this happening? It's just that happened and it was wrong and it was bad. There's no need to go and look at what happened before the camera, but that always has to be qualified.
Well, Marwan, you got to understand who we are as black people and what we've contributed to this country and history and the religious books and the encyclopedias and language and rhetoric and all of those type of things, what we've contributed to is slowly being uncovered. So they're like, again, the white males, the powers that be that own those news networks. We live in a community that's owned by a conservative radio station and has a conservative newspaper. The way they distribute the information, they decide that. That's the power structure. But they know more of the truth than we do.
Mm.
You feel me? They just don't want. The dollar bill will tell you a lot. Every symbol on the dollar bill, and you can go far back to Curtis Mayfield's song, "The New World Order."
Mm.
It said, the woman God is creating a new man. That's you and I. So it's for me, it's on a higher plane than just what's literally going on. There's a change in the atmosphere, bro. Something's going on, and we got to figure out our place in this world. But we're so damaged, and we're so angry and frustrated. We can't get over one incident before somebody else getting killed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of pressure on this, and what I have to do, because I come in contact with a lot of people, and it's a lot of work, man. But I have to kind of, without diminishing my authenticity, I have to try to be as less threatening as possible on purpose.
I was just talking about that before you came up, right? I talked about how the black body is already perceived as this dangerous thing. And so for me, I walk through the world smiling and trying to make myself as non-threatening as possible. But I'm a 6'1", 300-pound man. And I can't have a full expression, because if I'm angry, if I'm emotional, if I raise my voice, then I'm even more of a threat than me just existing and breathing.
So first of all, by doing that, by behaving in the way you just described, that creates more pressure on you. Because what you do is continue to normalize those behaviors when you know that's a bunch of BS. You know that you're one of the few black men in this room, and you hoping somebody black walk through the door, and they never do. And you got to hear all these bell whistles, and you got to see all these moves being made right in front of you, like you don't know what the pieces on the chessboard mean. You know what I'm saying? And that creates a lot of frustration in you. And today as black men, we so caught up in all of this, we can't even be authentic as we need to be with ourselves.
Right.
Right. The women are empowered now. They found their voice, but we don't know how to find ours because we damaged in so many areas because of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my father's 80 years old. He just is damaged by society. He just is damaged by his mom. I think his mom was born right at the end of slavery. He's 80 years old, bro. And he was taught wrong on so many levels about so many things. And who's to say how many other families were taught the same way and passed all that information down? So
let me jump in there, because you touched on something that I felt like was really important, and I was saying before you got on too, right? I talked about how the civil rights, started in the 60s. Here we are, 2021. That's only 60 years, right? And we've made progress, but it's been incremental when you look at the span of time, right? And then you take slavery, 400 years till now, right? And we got generations. So you're talking about your grandfather is still alive, and that generation that was right before it. So he lived it, right? So, when we talk about having that in our DNA and that pain. You know, folks say you got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Slavery was then. You got to get past it and move through it. I want to share these two videos with you and get your thought on that, because it's always looked at from our perspective, like, you know, just kind of get over it now. You know, it's been enough time. You know, you guys need to be accountable for what's going on. Now, as I play these videos, this is Sergeant Jonathan Petland, who was pushing the gentleman around, right? So he could get $500 fine, maybe 30 days in jail. Sure, none of those things are going to happen. It definitely won't be viewed as a hate crime, right? Which right now, for the AAPI community, almost anything that happens to them that is negative is not a crime, right? $50 million is already delegated to address those issues, but we're still talking about what we should do. Well, let me go ahead and play these here and then get your thoughts. And you are watching The Conduit with Marwan Cameron. My guest tonight is Up From Slavery Initiative, Dale Riley. We so appreciate him being here today.
Of a lesson in how to send money online without identifying yourself to investigators. Matt Gaetz is learning that, and we're also learning that as the result of a story in The Guardian about how some active duty cops, including in leadership positions, have been donating to vigilante killers' crowdfunding campaigns. We have a data breach to thank for this. Give, Send, Go, a Christian crowdfunding website that's revealed that serving police officers and public officials have donated money to both the vigilante murderers, far-right activists, and fellow officers accused of shooting Black Americans. In many of these cases, the donations were attached to their official email addresses, raising questions about the use of public resources in supporting such campaigns. The beneficiaries include Kyle Rittenhouse, who stands accused of murdering 2 left-wing protesters in Kenosha last August. According to data from the site, he raised nearly $600,000 between the end of August and the beginning of January. One of those donations, which was for $25, was made on the 3rd of September last year, anonymously, but associated with the official email address for Sergeant William Kelly, who currently serves as the Executive Officer of Internal Affairs, the Norfolk Police Department in Virginia. I'm
gonna stop that one there. I got 2 more I just want to play really quick.
A walkout by students after some white supremacist messages came as they were spread all over the school, you know, directing harm toward Black students. The students got tired of it. They decided to do a walkout due to this white supremacy. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
A massive walkout, hundreds of high schoolers marching in the rain. As police investigate these messages, most are too profane to show on TV. Some of the others read, "Watch your back. We do not want you guys here. Get hanged, die, kill yourself. And that's why George Floyd died. Can't wait until everyone your color leaves like that." I talked with 2 of the girls who say.
And this last one here.
So, you know, we see all these, you know, different, you know, things in the media where they're talking about these rise in hate crimes, you know, on Asians and stop Asian hate and all of that. But they don't talk about the constant hate crimes that's happening against Black people. Oh no, that's just normal. That's supposed to happen to y'all. That's why we don't talk about it. You know, you guys getting killed by a race soldier. That's we'll talk about it, but we talk about it in the guise of trying to get ratings. You know, we get money off your death. And then we want to get other finances, you know, with Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. You know, that's why we talk about your death. Not that we care about it. We just know we can make a lot of money off of you, you know, when that happens. But you have, you know, the school district. And I want you to hear, you know, when you're going to have some white supremacist students that's going to sit up here, have a slave auction that they're participating in, you know, with Black students. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
All right, so I'm gonna stop that there. Shout out to Phil Scott and the African Diaspora News Channel. He has 1.2 million subscribers. Puts out a lot of really good news. So I encourage people to go there and stay informed on things that aren't in the mainstream. The reason why I wanted you to watch those three and comment on those is often it is said, hey, you know what? As soon as the white patriarchy kind of dies off, we'll see this start to decrease. But what I'm showing you is you've got active duty soldiers that are behaving this way. You have, and this is what we mean by institutional racism, right? You got politicians and cops donating to Rittenhouse's his fund $500,000, like that. Just the thought on that. And then we have high school students that are in these games as a slave auction. So this isn't something where this is 50 and 60-year-old grandfathers that are going to die off and slavery is going to end. No, these are 17 and 16 and 15-year-olds. On it goes. Your thoughts on all that? I put a lot out there, but sit back and just listen.
No, it's cool. It's cool, man. I walk this thing with you, and I can't see me unless I look at you. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. On my first point, though, you got to understand, Black death is sensationalized. Especially Black male death is sensationalized like a public lynching used to be back in the slave days. You know what I'm saying? It gets people excited. It gets people talking. It's a lot it gets the news cycles turning. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too much else going on. Trump ain't screaming. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's got the news cycle going. Here's what I'll tell you about all of those people who you showed who still feel like that. First of all, the military is one of the most racist institutions in the world. United States military. And I've heard that from ranked officers, enlisted officers. You got a lot of them racists who grew up hating Black folks, and now they're commanding officers. Even our new Secretary of Defense said that. They're putting new policies in place and putting new promotional practices in place because of the institutional racism kept a lot of Blacks from moving up in the ranks. My second point is, when you're asking me this, I was thinking about when I watched George Floyd get killed, and what was going on with me at that time. I was reading the book Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington, and during that time, and I just knew something had to occur. So in that book, it talked about how they went from being newly free slaves, and this is just the context of it. But what I wanted to learn is, how did they go from being newly free slaves with nothing to creating Black Wall Street in less than 50 years? You know what I'm saying? How do we start today with all the resources we got as Black people now? They didn't have anything. When they started Tuskegee, they had to start it in a barn they built with holes in the walls. So we have a plethora. We have everything we need to take advantage of the opportunities to change this narrative. And the reason I bring that up is because there wasn't too many people that wanted slaves to be free during that time. There were a lot of these same individuals that you're talking about now, these youngsters whose fathers are racist. Imagine how many were then. I'm as angry as you, bro. But today my anger helps me create action. How can I piss them off even more? Because everybody is not gonna be for racial equity. Everybody's not gonna love Black people or Asian people. They're gonna be some people who are just ignorant enough to hate folks. And I know that if we can figure out how to get out of our own way, we can have a Black Wall Street again. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is a collaborative effort. We got everything we need right inside of us. And that's what Up from Slavery is about. If I want to teach your daughter, how is your daughter? Like 9 or 10?
9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if I want your daughter to start have a nice portfolio at 21, then I got to start teaching her to have a money conscious right now. You know, we were never taught about money and what to do with it. And then the mental aspects of how to deal with the pressures of having it, to make decisions under pressures, to be a leader of your family. And all that, man, is just what Up From Slavery is about, because we understand how hard it is uh, uh, to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I will tell you that in 2021, we have about a better chance than they did in 1865.
Mm.
You know, so that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm hoping for. We're already changing lives. My guys are already watching our First Friday Financial Freedom podcast. Man, they're getting apartments. They're asking me about their credit score. We're trying to get them security cards. You know, these are guys that just come out of the system, man, who just come out of the drugs and homelessness. You know, and it's like a beautiful flower to see their life just grow. You know, but also the trickiest part of that situation is when they have a hiccup with their family. You know what I'm saying? To see how they handle those and navigate, because that's when we have our biggest letdowns. You know, when those that should support us don't, as black men. You know, so I think I shifted my focus from that, because that's gonna keep me angry. It's gonna keep me distraught. It's gonna make me mad, and we already got enough to be mad about, man. And being black, man, and knowing the real. You know,
Right.
to be black and aware and conscious, if you will, is to be angry all the time. But I'm not gonna do like you. I'm not gonna smile all the time. When I'm angry, when I'm not feeling it, I have the right, the human right, to let those feelings be what they are. You know, if somebody being a shitty human being to me, I'm not gonna smile at them and say, "Well, God bless you." No, I'm gonna walk away. I'm not stepping around. We talked about this yesterday. I'm not stepping around bullshit. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
I'm not stepping
all
around.
adults here.
Yeah, either we gonna figure out how to get it up. You feel me? One way or another, we gonna all discuss this BS on the floor that we walking around. You know, because that's creating a hindrance to us. You know, and it creates pressures for you, health pressures. When you gotta constantly tamper down your feelings and your authenticity and your emotions, and you just can't be authentically black, like you were at Cynthia's party. When you and Shaylin, I was watching y'all was just flowing, free flowing communication. Man, that's your authenticity there. Why can't you be like that in every room?
Right.
You know, why should your blackness have to code switch based upon who in the room? Man, I'm not doing that.
Can you define code switching for the audience that may not know?
Code switching is when you change up and you have a different face depending upon who you around. Now, I sit on the city of Bremerton's audit committee, and we direct the auditor. You know, and I'm in them meetings and I'm talking just like I'll be talking to one of my employees on the job. I'm not code switching. Now maybe some of the language is cleaned up, but I told you in the beginning, hip hop raised me, the drug culture raised me. We all grew up in those eras. We all saw New Jack City. You know, I see some of the gear you wear. You know, tells me you grew up in some of that era, and that's who
you
we
saw the
are.
Purple Air Force ones.
Yeah, man, that's who we are, man. That's who we are, and I think we're at our best when we just be who we are, man. I don't want you stressed out about that. That's part of our wellness thing too. Yoga and meditation to get them pressures off of you. That's them 1,000 cuts of racism you experience a day. You know, going through these different dynamics, man. So, you know, it's a lot of pressure on us, Doc. You know?
So, you know, what's powerful about what you're saying is, you know, the whole conversation, one is new. We haven't had these conversations like this, especially not out in the open, right? So I'll speak for myself. I know that I've been feeling this way well, since I was born, but have felt this way, and we haven't had these conversations, at this level. You have them at the barbershop, you have them at the church, you have them at the family reunions, you have them in different spaces, but it is an opportunity and it is different. The thing that I like with working with the folks that I'm working with now is I would tell my students, it's okay to talk about how you're feeling. You can go ahead, get it out. We can have a bitch and moan session. You can complain and talk about it all. Get it all out. Now, once it's all out there, what are we going to do to move forward? Well, how are we going to, we're not going to change the whole world. We're not going to make it perfect, but how are we going to start making those steps to change what we can change? How are we going to empower ourselves and empower those around us that want to make a difference? So I like that. So will you talk a little bit about what is Up From Slavery Initiative? Why did you create it? What are some things that you guys are going to do? Where can people, get involved and follow you and get in on the things that you're doing?
Sure. I'll well, let me start off by this. I think that's a good thing when you tell those youths to express what they feel, because you got to be able to sort that out. And because and to answer your question, one of the reasons we created Up From Slavery is because nobody ever tells us that, and that creates a bunch of pressures in you. See, I grew up, the first time I ran into the police, I was in first grade when they brought Officer Friendly in with the coloring books to try to, paint this image of law enforcement to the young black kids while they were killing the Black Panthers. I was born in 65. So the next time I experienced law enforcement, of course, we seen them in the neighborhood, but when I had a personal experience with them, I was 14. And they, this was when they had to stop and frisk, and they pulled us over, and man, why you messing with us? And the guy slapped me so hard, he slapped me so hard my nose bleed. Told me don't ever stare at him.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that took all the respect I had from law enforcement from right there. And not to go in a whole lot about my life, but I experienced drug in prison. I experienced homelessness. I experienced those things several times. I like to say I don't fear hell because I've been there several times, bro, and still smell like a little smoke. But today, I've been fortunate enough to leave prison with $200 and no options, no choices. I done ran out of excuses. People done got tired of praying for me. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got nothing else for me. My daughter don't want to talk to me. But I'm excited to be out of prison with this new paradigm shift that I'm gonna have. And through trials and errors, I was able to turn this thing around and kind of flip the meat over, if you will, and let the other side of it cook. And now I own a couple businesses, and I employ a dozen people, and I have leadership positions within city government and doing this type of work that you're doing as well, this activism work and just community empowerment. I have a lot of relationships that I've built, and I've learned or I've gained a lot of freedoms that I never imagined or never even could think of or envision as a child, considering that I've been to prison 2 times in 2 different states. To where since I smoked crack for over 20 years, countless encounters with law enforcement. When my name came over the scanner, they used FBI words to describe me.
Wow.
So today I have a personal relationship with the chief and, these captains and the mayor and things like that because of the steps that I've taken, the changes that I've made, and how it's been able to impact people who actually are still entangled in those situations. So having that freedom and starting to make money didn't seem like success for me when everybody around me starving. You know, success to me is me doing well and everybody around me eating too. You know, so having experiences all those issues as a young black male, I know what it takes and the steps that are necessary to get up out of that. I'm actually doing that. And that's what Up From Slavery is about. Because you and everybody that you know has somebody that's affected by the penal system or that's on drugs. And all you want them to do is to get out and get it right. You know, well, I'm what that looks like. You know, and Up From Slavery is about helping those type of people along with other folks, man. We just want to create pathways of freedom that folks could walk through. You know, I only wanted, they used to ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I used to say, I just want to be alive, bro.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, people talked about me so bad in this community because of my actions and my behaviors. You know, well, I own the narrative now. You can't talk about those things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, let me show you and your family how to get out of that.
Right.
You know, this is all we want to do. I don't have to do this. My life is just fine. But I want to see other folks make it too, man.
So it
That's
sounds
not
like what you're saying that you're, you know, that was your, that's what you did in your past. That's not who you are today.
absolutely. And we're creating a bunch of we've having a bunch of online programs. We're actually involved in the Kids Have Great Give that's coming up. We have our first Friday's financial freedom. I don't want to speak too fast and mess up what my team has together. And we're in the process of creating other kind of wellness programs. We've been doing Zumba classes and yoga classes online. We've been doing a men's Zumba on Friday. That's kind of been put on hold, and we're working on a number of other things behind the scenes. Once we get past the Kids Have Great Give,
Mm-hmm.
we've gotten United Way to become our fiscal sponsor, which is something that they've never done before or got involved in as it relates to people of color. But they seem to feel as though they want to change that narrative, and that's cool to have white organizations with that type of name recognition come alongside you and say, well, what can we help you with? How can we support your mission? You know, and like I say, man, I grew up rough in the streets. Yeah, I went to school. I got some college education, not a degree. I'm not a knucklehead. But to have some people like that come alongside me based upon what my team and I have developed, I'm really proud of that. And I think it's free. You know, people should take advantage of it. In fact, I'm looking for a bank right now to partner with us.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, I want to sponsor 30 youth. My business wants to sponsor 30 youth, and I want the bank to sponsor 30 youth. You know, match what I got and help me sponsor these youth while we can teach them financial literacy and help them manage their accounts. And after they complete the class and our work ethic training class, we'll turn it over to them and monitor them with it. We got financial professionals and experts who are going to teach these classes, and we have a location to do so. So there are a number of ways you can get involved. Our website is ufsi.org. I got it right here on my shirt.
Yeah, and actually, we got the website up here. I've got it on the screen. I don't know if you're looking at a screen where you can see it, but I've got your full website up here, and you can see it's got launching virtual programs, spring of 21. You can see about us. You can click on programs, getting involved and contacting them. What can they? How can they get involved and participate?
So we're actively looking for office space right now. We have a lot of administrative things that we want to tighten up. We have a lot of people who want to come on board and be presenters and teachers and help us build our platforms and programs. But we have to have a space to create that. We have to have a war room and administrative costs. So we also looking for people to bring their ideas. We've never done this before, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel. You know, I don't claim to be an educational professional. You know, certain areas are not my lane or not my expertise. That's why I got professionals rolling with me because they're gonna help figure this out. You
Mhm.
know, and we just want to reach out to our community, be impactful, help free people from the grips of slavery, including post-traumatic slave disorder. And
Okay.
if you don't think that's a real issue, you could sit down and have a conversation with me and I can prove it to you. You know?
Absolutely. So, shout out to Carl United Way, fiscally sponsoring, Up From Slavery initiative. Now, I think it's always good to, try to tell folks exactly what it is, what our needs are. So in a space, what are you looking for? What are your needs, like office space wise? Like what would fill you,
Well,
allow you to grow?
well, so we have a working board, and what I mean by that, and you know what I mean, but my team and I, we're putting in the work, but it's we're gonna be doing more, we're gonna be requiring more, so we're just looking for office space. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. We're actually looking to try to raise a minimum of 10,000 at the Kitsap Great Give to pay for a year's lease somewhere. And my company, along with my wife and I, have been kind of, sponsoring what needs to get done because we really believe in this. And we're just putting ourselves in position and creating a lot of content. We have a wellness platform that we're working on now with some women leaders in the community. So there's a plethora of things that we could get involved in. And if you just have questions, you could reach out to us and someone will gladly respond to you and let you know how you could help. Or if your youth want to get involved, we're trying to get a youth financial literacy camp going this summer.
Awesome.
Which would be cool if we could connect all the dots without COVID being a factor. And it's a lot that goes into this. So we're working on things, and we're being very, very effective. People's lives are being changed by it. So we're really proud. We want to keep something moving. We want to keep people engaged in something.
Well, I love it. I'm on your homepage again. If you click on get involved, it'll take you right to a link where you can donate. Please donate on Tuesday, April 20th, because when you donate on that day, they actually match the funds. So you're going to double the money that comes into Up From Slavery Initiative, which is powerful, right? So doing some really powerful things in the community. I love, it says service to community, compassion, education, and authenticity. And as we talked about it before, this program just isn't for Black people. True story.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, we talked about it in the letter that we wrote.
Mm-hmm.
How society tends to, and when I say society, I say the media and the powers that be, tend to create division without us even realizing it amongst poor people and people of color. We're all in the same boat,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to stop allowing that to happen. So, of course, our focus is on people of color, but we want everyone to take advantage of this. As in fact, our secretary is white. So, we're not working out of that camp. We'd be remiss if we didn't include everyone. Because I just want people that are smarter than me around me. If I'm the smartest one in the room, we in trouble.
You know what? I think that's really powerful. And, for those that are believers and believe in heaven, what do you think heaven is going to look like? It's not just going to be one race. It's going to be a kaleidoscope of folks. So, that's where the work needs to be anyway, right? All of us as a people, as humanity, putting in the work and doing it and working toward healing for sure. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. We're pushing right up on an hour. You said you had an hour to give on a Friday night. I appreciate you coming on last minute, end of the week, long, productive week. It feels different, Daryl. And, my hope is that we will, use this opportunity and this momentum to propel us to, really working on ourselves and then working on the community at the same time. Because like you said, I'm not a finished product, right? There's a lot of damage, pain, and hurt as you try to navigate this. And the more that I can heal, the better and more effectively I'll be able to help others. I'm gonna give you the final word.
Well, bro, I really appreciate you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. You know, I think we're starting to figure out how we vibe with one another. And what I really like about Up From Slavery and any type of tentative collaboration is that we can go down the same street but not be crossing lanes.
Mm,
You know
mm,
what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And in fact, you know, with my business and a lot of the things that we going on and the people that we know, it don't do nothing but help it blend it together and make it smoother anyway. You know, so we'd be remiss, man, if we don't take advantage of that opportunity. You know, and you know about heaven and hell. You know, I think well, I've been to hell. You know, I think I said that earlier. I've been to hell several times. A lot of times I went voluntarily.
Mm.
You know, you know, and for me, I don't know about the afterlife. I've never been there before. But if heaven is anything like the way I'm living now, compared to the way I used to live, then I'm all right with that. You know, and I just thank you for your support from slavery. And if anybody's interested in what we got going on, you know, you can reach out to myself or the office or our co-founder, Mrs. Kenzie Galloway. A lot of you all know her, and we're really finna do some amazing things in this community. We really are, and hopefully we'll have a strong collaboration with Marwan and G2 and the Conduit as well. So thank you for this opportunity, bro, and don't forget us on the Great Give on April 20th.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it there. Up From Slavery Initiative. Daryl Riley. The Great Give is on Tuesday. Please give. Make a difference in the community. Make the most out of your dollars. Get involved. Change is going to start with us. We can't wait on others to make change. We are tremendously powerful if we only recognize our power and then use that power. We've got it to give. I'm R1 Cameron. This is The Conduit. Until next time.